Hello, guys. I hope you're having a great Friday night. Uh, this will be here for the playoffs. Listen. I wanted my dry January. I was thinking about it. This is my first drink since New Year's Day. But listen, life's too short. You can just do your dry month in a different month. Just enjoy the liquor on the weekends for the playoffs and all of that. Just enjoy yourself. The NFL playoffs is a holiday in itself. It's a celebration of the playoffs. It's here, and we're here to find out who's our next champion, and that itself feels like it's a very festive moment. So this it makes it easy to move on from Christmas when the NFL playoffs is a holiday in itself. Just thinking about it, my trio will be away late January, like probably like after the conference championships, or maybe after once my teams are out of the playoffs, or if they're gonna win the AFC and the NFC. But everyone who see Indiana tonight, who seriously thought Oregon was going to win? Did they not see Indiana against Alabama? Did you really think Oregon had any chance of winning? They had no chance of winning. Indiana's by far the best team in the country. They beat Ohio State. They beat the living shit out of Ole Miss. Miami only beat a team with the interim coach. They're god awful. Fernando Mendoza is heading back home. He's going to beat the living shit out of Miami. This national title game comes down to a generational talent who's going to excite the Raiders fan base. The Raider motherfucking nation, baby. It's what it's about. It's what Fernando Mendoza is going to do. Raider nation for the win. We coming for this. Don't get my hopes up. I'm just excited to see this kid beat the living crap out of Miami. He played high school preparatory football over at Christopher Columbus University at Miami. This is Fernando motherfucking Mendoza's time, motherfucker. In Miami, little bitch ass motherfuckers be crying. You'll be mocking Notre Dame and all this crap, and this little bitch ass motherfucker who had Notre Dame on his mind after they beat Texas A&M. Karma's coming his way, baby. This way it's about. Miami's gonna lose national championship game. They're gonna be irrelevant. They're the same team that lost to who? Southern Methodist in Louisville. Man, this team is bang average. Kurt Signetti, it is about him. He is from West Virginia. Nick Saban hails from West Virginia. He is a Nick Saban disciple. This guy is a psychopath that I would love to have as head coach. He is stone cold focused about the game for 60 minutes. Yeah, you may win the battle, but the war is not over until the war is over. This guy is a real kick-ass military general in the battlefield. And I'm going to take this guy over Mario freaking Crystal Ball. Indiana going to beat the snot out of Miami in the national championship game. That's all I have to say about the national championship game. Indiana is simply the best team, heads and shoulders above everybody, from the coach to the quarterback and to all of their trenches, the defensive line, the offensive line. The Oregon team that destroyed the Big 12 champion, Indiana obliterated them. Now you're from the weak ACC. Texas A&M didn't even make the SEC championship game. You played an interim coach. Ohio State sold the game because it's all about scripted storylines. Oh, played in the stadium of the national title, and that. Indiana's where the storylines really dominate. You're going to get your asses handed to you 2 Mondays from now. Indiana's going to win by double digits. They're going to destroy. They're just going to win by double digits. Let me put it that way. Here we are. Bears, Packers tomorrow. We could see some snow. It is the third meeting in the last 6 weeks. Jordan Love is returned from the concussion. If there's one game that the public's going to lose on, it's Packers-Bears. The public is not overwhelmingly betting on the Bills to beat the Jaguars. It's roughly 50-50. Like, I think it's more money is on Buffalo, but more tickets are on Jacksonville, or I have to flip that around. But it's not the house game that you think it's going to be. It's roughly 50-50 on the action for the Bills and the Jaguars. Now, too much one-sided action is on that wild card game between the Bears and the Packers at roughly same even odds for both teams. That is what's going to favor Green Bay. The rest advantage, the Bears having to play on a Saturday, Jordan Love's revenge game, and the Las Vegas factor, and the fact that the Bears haven't led the Packers for even 2 seconds this season. So there you go. The Packers going to win the game. They're off to Seattle. The number one stat that would favor the Packers playing the Seahawks is this. Entering the season, the Seahawks had 27 winning seasons, and this is their 28th winning season. In Gematria, it's Packers that equals 28. And in 9 previous games in January, Sam Darnold is 2-7, going for 2-8. And the Seahawks have committed exactly 28 turnovers, 28 giveaways during the regular season. Caleb equals 23 in Gematria. Payback equals 23. He falls to 2-3 against the Packers. Pack equals 23. Caleb falls to 2-3 against Green Bay. All right. The 28th winning season of Seattle Packers is 28. They've turned it over 28 times. I mean, who even cares if Trayvon Diggs doesn't get an interception tomorrow? Sam Darnold is a turnover machine. Caleb Williams is not a turnover machine. There will be a key mistake. Both teams don't really turn it over a lot, don't they? But somebody is going to bite. They're going to press and make a mistake. And that is what's going to flip the game on its head. And I got to go with the team that doesn't have the experience at the quarterback position in a playoff game. Jordan Love has the playoff experience. So the Packers' advantage, Las Vegas factor, rest, and experience in the playoffs is what we have to go with. Micah Parsons, blah, 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 blah. He's hardly a factor, is he? You need an onside kick to beat a Packers team without Micah Parsons. He's hardly a difference maker. And Micah Parsons, that is a terrible reason for the Bears. If the Bears start picking 5-10-yard runs on offense, this could be trouble for Green Bay. But if Chicago settles for field goals instead of touchdowns, that's going to hurt them. Because I trust Jordan Love in a return game to actually convert the drives from the third down to 6 points instead of 3 points. I think the Packers are due for some payback. NFL rigged the game with the onside kick 11 years ago. It went right through Brandon Bostick's hands, like he was being company man right there. Anyone who remembers the lockout, the one game that ultimately brought the full-time referees back was the Packers and the Seahawks. That was not a touchdown. That was an interception. The replacement refs made the worst call in the history of the regular season. Packer guy intercepts it, clearly does, goes down, but because the ball was in the Seahawks player's hands, referees ruled it a touchdown. Now, this was complete bush league. complete amateur. Seahawks time is going to come. The Chicken Hawks are simply a fraudulent team. They're not a Super Bowl team because they give the ball too many times. This is who Sam Darnold is. They are forever the team that failed to run the ball to Lynch. They are going to have a long spell of failing to make it. Never mind the Super Bowl. They're not even going to make a conference. When's the next time they're even going to make a conference championship game? That's what I'm talking about with this Seahawks team. There's just no things you would cover from. Why do you think Richard Sherman no longer wants to associate with the Seahawks? Because of that play right there. They remember the failure to give Marshawn Lynch the ball more than the so-called Super Bowl run of the Seahawks. This is how you know you have a joke team. Yeah, you really think the Seahawks would give the Packers more of a problem than the Rams? Matthew Stafford, it's Sam fucking Darnold. Seahawks coaches are conservative. They have no killer instinct. This team is. How many people have bet on the Seahawks? Lots of people. Lots of people. I'm really looking forward to the divisional round. There's bigger fish to fry than, quite frankly, an over. There's no justification for over 60% of the money line, over 70% of the spread money to be on Chicago based on the pertinent facts in hand. You needed an onside kick to even beat the Packers. No Micah Parsons hardly made a difference. The Packers dominated the Bears. But the public is rolling with Chicago. The public has never been accused of betting logically all the time. Well, everyone's going to act all surprised when Green Bay wins because they thought they're in trouble, but the last 2 weeks were meaningless games because they're already in the playoffs by Christmas. They're already stuck at number 7. But it was virtually meaningless. They played the starters. Christian Watson tore his ACL last year, the final week of the season. They just simply didn't give a shit against the Ravens. Josh Jacobs only had 4 carries in the last 2 weeks. Public's really they're really gonna put much emphasis in the last 3 weeks without lacking any true context into the last 3 weeks. Oh yeah, listen. There's nothing logical with having the Packers go into the Super Bowl, but if you want to question the meaning of Santa Clara equaling 27 and all the 27s with the Packer quarterback's first Super Bowl titles, listen, it ain't supposed to be logical. But I know Packers have a top 10 defense, and I know that their offense is very hard to beat because they don't turn over the ball. On the football field, they can win. They need the right matchup. If they make it past through the fraudulent Seahawks, who's the better matchup? They match up well against the Bears, obviously, because the Bears, they give up a lot of yards on defense and on the ground. The Packers have given them a hard time. Truly, they're a matchup problem. One team, both teams have Super Bowl winning coaches. Both teams have Super Bowl winning quarterbacks. The Rams don't have an all-pro running back. It may come down to all-pro running back. Rams are relatively young. I'd probably say Jalen Hurts doesn't really throw it downfield. I think Packers can stack that box against Saquon Barkley, and I think Jalen Hurts is a good top half quarterback, but he's certainly not elite. He has a great team around him. He's not truly elite. Like Eli Manning, he had like 2 or 3 elite years, but was he really elite outside of that? With all of his interceptions? If Eli didn't win any Super Bowls, people look at him like he's Carson Palmer. That's what winning Super Bowls does to a player. Suddenly you're elevated to a whole nother status, and you're just not a Carson Palmer. He plays in New York. He has the privilege of having Manning in his last name. That's why the NFL rigged 2 Super Bowls for Eli. Listen. Caleb Williams, they said that Washington had the better quarterback. I still think Washington did have the better quarterback. Did the Bears have lots of injuries this year? They didn't have lots of injuries. They had a great year. Washington? Austin Eckler got injured in week 1 or week 2. I mean, this team was truly cooked. They had no luck with injuries. This year was not Jaden Daniels' fault at all. In fact, he was not even healthy through the year. He was injured too. Washington's a playoff team, but they just had the bad luck with injuries. But he's got to have the playoff wins. He's got to have that Super Bowl appearance. Caleb doesn't have the playoff win. Jaden Daniels has 2 playoff wins. The Bears passed on the wrong quarterback. If they had Jaden Daniels, they would have beaten the Packers. They would have won the NFC. If they had Jaden Daniels with Ben Johnson, they would have won the Super Bowl. Dante Moore is garbage. The Jets, what should they do? They should honestly trade for Kyler instead of drafting Dante Moore. I thought this guy was a running quarterback, but looking at his stats, he's not really running quarterback. He's just surrounded by great offensive talent. And what is the problem with quarterback play nowadays? Is that the quarterback play, they're being told what to do by the coaches. They're not able to read the field and make the decision for themselves. They're being micromanaged to do predetermine what to do before the ball is snapped. That's why quarterbacks are not able to process changes in coverage. That is the problem with quarterbacks when they are going to the NFL. Even Tom Brady has talked about this. And Tom Brady's not some angry millennial, oh, back in my day, this was better. I mean, these are genuine concerns of impacting the college game. The Jets have no reason to draft Dante Moore after tonight. 0. He wasn't great against Texas Tech either. He had a boneheaded interception too in that game. He didn't have to do shit that game because Texas Tech, they were deer in the headlights on offense. Oregon could have scored 40 that game, but their offense was lackluster even in that game against Texas Tech. Listen. Yes. I'm gonna wake up in the morning. I'll be just fine. I just have this left, half a bottle left. I always wanted to do dry January and skip all of this, but listen. Alcohol and playoffs and scripted male soap opera, it goes hand in hand. You may as well just lighten up, live in the moment, and that's what it's about. And Nothing going on in February, March before the NBA playoffs. Okay, you have a dry 2 months. To dry 60 minutes outside of St. Patrick's Day and all your other kind of key holidays during that time. St. Patrick's Day and Easter. Are you from Wisconsin? You drink a lot of beer over there? You guys got your good hard craft beer over there? Makes it easy to drink over there. Y'all drink a lot in Wisconsin. Roughly half and half in the poll. Eagles, Rams is a better matchup. NFL's already picked the matchup anyways. I think it is going to be the Eagles. John Davis says, I'm not betting a lot on these rigged playoff games. Always turn a small bill into a big bill. Well, listen, nothing is guaranteed. Nothing is guaranteed for the Packers-Bears game. Nothing's guaranteed for the Texans-Steelers game. I would take the Texans, but if the Steelers win after the Packers win, I won't be terribly upset. Because that would mean that everyone's going to jump in on the Rodgers versus Packers conspiracy for the Super Bowl if the Packers and the Steelers both win this wild card week. That's what would happen if if both the Packers and the Steelers win this week. Then suddenly NFL's WWE, they want Rodgers against Jordan Love at Rodgers' home region he's from Chico, California. He went to high school at the Bay Area. He went to Cal Berkeley, all this. So listen. Even though I like Jags to win, it's possible that the NFL could want Josh Allen in the divisional round. So that's not even 100% either. I just think with the perception that quarterback play is garbage, that the NFL will want to put some quarterback names on the map. So if Trevor Lawrence gets 2 playoff wins, then suddenly the NFL says, hey, quarterback play is not too bad. He beat Herbert. He beat Josh Allen. The quarterback play ain't bad. C.J. Stroud got 3 playoff wins. Drake May got 2 playoff wins. Bo Nix made it to a Super Bowl his second year. Quarterback play is not so bad. Since Roger Goodell, I think that's what I think this playoffs, the bigger picture as far as all of the results put together is established names are not going to go far in the playoffs because NFL says, hey, there's more competition. Quarterback play is not as bad as you think it is. There's more parity. You all were bitching about Mahomes, so we gave you different faces. But if football is a game won in the trenches, and certainly Buff had much better defensive play in previous years and better offensive line play than this year. Listen, Buffalo has got to really, really, really retool and focus very hard on the trenches in the offseason. You know you're going to be in the playoffs every year with Josh Allen. If you get more physical at the line, especially moving to that new stadium, that can put Buffalo over the edge by next year. You should feel very good about winning 11 wins despite having key areas of weakness. Because it shows Josh Allen's Super Bowl, his superstar ability. But for me, Jordan Love, they blew his head off the last game, and he comes in and fucks him in the ass and ends their season. Everybody had the Bears, but you got to throw records out when Bears-Packers play. I'm just not going to sit here and ignore the fact that Sam Darnold's number 14. The Packers can go for their 14th championship. I am not going to ignore that whatsoever. I'm not going to ignore the fact that the Eagles have 26 playoff losses. They could lose their 27th playoff game against the Packers. Joseph Wilson says, is Eagles' overall defense better than the Rams? So Rams would be a better matchup for Green Bay. Philly can win games with defense alone, in my biased Eagles opinion. Eagles sweat left for the Cardinals. They had some players leave in free agency. They've been ups and downs on the offense. And mostly the offense has been up and down. If the Packers lose Parsons and the Eagles are struggling with offense, then probably the Eagles are the better matchup the more I think about it. Despite Matthew Stafford's Pro Bowl ability, he's banged up. Listen, he's banged up. And Packers have relatively young players. If the Rams have relatively young players, then I think the Eagles are a tougher opponent for the Pack. But I will, in the description, I'll have the Camacho, I'll have the stats pre-populated before we go for the Amazon Prime game tomorrow. Does everybody have Amazon Prime? Are you able to watch the game tomorrow? I have an Amazon Prime free trial, so this is how I'm able, I don't have to go through any other avenues. I have a free trial. I can decide. I go to Whole Foods, so I should technically do the Prime membership anyways. Total defense by yards. Eagles have given up 53.41 yards. The Packers 53.01. Listen, Packers don't have Micah Parsons, but the Eagles lost Josh Sweat in free agency. This is how I look at it. Saquon Barkley, top 5 running back. So is McCaffrey. So is Josh Jacobs. Listen, if 3 of the top 5 running backs are in the playoffs, this shows how very important it is to run the ball. And are 1,000-yard rushers completely obsolete? I mean, if Josh Jacobs played any of the last 2 games, he would have had 1,000 yards. Saquon, 1,000-yard guy like Adrian Peterson, like Frank Gore, all these tanks out there. Adrian James, all of that. Many other previous great running backs. How many 1,000-yard rushers in the NFL, and how many of these guys are in the playoffs? Already 3 of the top 5 running backs in football are in the playoffs in the NFC. You see how important it is to run the football? Arizona Cardinals, James Conner, an all-pro running back out for the season, and they struggle without him. So running the football is never, ever going to be obsolete in the National Football League. Yeah, James Cook, you see, the Bills' offensive line hasn't been great. Is the Bills' offensive line, their strength is run blocking instead of fast blocking? I don't know. I can't really go into, deep detail about the schematics of this is what I mean. Ravens have been in the playoffs if they ran the ball with Derrick Henry against the Patriots. They would have been in the playoffs. And now Jonathan Taylor, basically the quarterback got hurt and it went downhill after that. Devon Achane. Tua is garbage. This guy had 1,350 yards and 5.7 yards per carry. Tua is garbage. Oh, Kyron Williams had 1,252 yards. How many 1,000 yards? We have 14 guys. We have 14 players. We have 17 players with 1,000 yards rushing. DeAndre Swift, he's in the playoffs. Etienne, he's in the playoff. Kenneth Walker, he's in the playoff. Jahmyr Gibbs, close enough. McCaffrey's in the playoff. teams that are not in the playoffs, like B. John Robinson of the Falcons and Devon Achani of the Miami Dolphins, they still won 7 games, 7-8 maybe for the Falcons. I mean, you still have to run the ball to be competitive. John Davis says, Chargers got a chance. Don't sleep on it. I love Jim Harbaugh. He's going to win the Super Bowl with the Chargers. I'm a huge fan of Jim Harbaugh. But this year, it won't be the year. I'm fully 100% supporter of fucking Justin Herbert. I fully support the coach. I fully support the Chargers. I think they've done a hell of a job without 2 of their offensive tackles. Only Jim Harbaugh is able to pull that off. If you're a bubble team outside the playoffs, like the Chiefs or the Bengals or the Ravens, any team hoping to get in through the wild card avenue, I mean, I think next year, Chargers hosting the Super Bowl, they could be out of the playoffs. The big injury for Justin Herbert. But very next season, Chargers could win the Super Bowl. They can. If his brother has won a Super Bowl, Jim Harbaugh's going to win the motherfucking Super Bowl. For the Chargers, I think it comes at Georgia. Bills have to win next year. Like he says, Jimbo, he was in the SoFi commercial, so he's got to win it. Mahomes is in the State Farm. He won at the State Farm Stadium. So NFL's rigged. Bills win the rigged Super Bowl next year. No one's going to bitch about the NFL rigging it for the Bills because we feel so bad for the Bills for the 1990s and for much of the 2020s and all these heartbreaking disappointments. So nobody's going to bitch if the NFL gives the bad calls for the Buffalo Bills next year. Nobody is going to bitch about the bad calls for Buffalo next year. Well, what people have a problem is, why can't you rig it for the Cardinals or the Panthers or the Jaguars or the Browns or the Lions? Instead, you have to rig it for a team like fucking Tampa Bay to win their second fucking championship. This is the kind of thing that people have a problem with. So why can't Tom Brady go to the Lions or the Browns or the Cardinals and win their franchise the Super Bowl and literally be a pariah, to be a guy? The Tampa, Brady's not your only god. He has John Gruden and John Lynch and the Tampa Bay cover 2 defense. I don't know if Samian Rice was there. They had Derek Brooks. You see, they had a bunch of fucking beasts on that defense, you see. Tom Brady wasn't the only thing that made Tampa great. They were great before Tom Brady. They won 7 games. The first season with Bruce Arians, they were 7-9. Lifetime 49er fan since I was a kid. I'm fair when it comes to win according to Vegas in this. Well, I'm an Arizona Cardinals fan. I already know my team is out of the playoffs before it's even began. I don't get the mental abuse of having Super Bowl hopes, and it fucks up my post-Christmas wish in January. I don't have any of that stuff, do I? Like some other fan bases. I'll read any comment in the chat. Now, Caleb Williams doesn't turn it over a lot. He already threw a pick against the Packers this year. It came on a 4th down. I think it was at the Packer 14-yard line. Yeah, now when you're breaking down the statistic, Jordan Love has thrown 13 passes since the Broncos game in games not involving Micah Parsons. His first passing attempt will be his 14th passing attempt since the Packers have been playing games without Micah Parsons. Pass number 14. He had 13 attempts against the Bears, which is wild to me. This is the Bears' 13th playoff elimination since they last won the Super Bowl in Super Bowl 20. Freemasons are big on 13. See that Larry Fitzgerald touchdown? I see the replays. I can't even celebrate. It's very painful. I mean, NFL was rigged back then. You see, 2008 election, John McCain running in Arizona, lost the election, and then Arizona lost the Super Bowl against the Steelers. Now, the depleted manufacturing base in Pennsylvania, that was who voted for Obama back then because of the effects of NAFTA. And so the state that voted for Obama, Pennsylvania, the devastated steel industry, the devastated steel mills, that was who won the Super Bowl over the losing Republican nominee that year, which was John McCain from Arizona, and the Cardinals lost the Super Bowl right after Obama's inauguration. Barack Obama was senator of Illinois, and then Obama won in 2008, but he took over Hillary Clinton as the leading Democratic nominee. The Super Bowl, the first black-on-black Super Bowl matchup, Tony Dungy against Lovie Smith of the Bears, Tony Dungy of the Colts. The next election, Obama won. So that was a scripted Super Bowl. It was Obama's Bears, but it was the first black coach on black coach Super Bowl matchup. Hey, imagine if Jordan Love dominates the NFC. Like, people have been calling Jordan Love garbage and this and that. I think Trey Benson's a bust because he's always injured. It's too bad. Everybody was in. Commanders weren't the only team devastated by injuries. The Cardinals had the most injuries in the league this year. They had the most injuries in the league. It was bad. We were down the second, third straight. It was bad. It was bad. Hopefully the Seahawks, I should not root for injuries for a football fan because you never know what bad injury happens, but maybe Seahawks or Rams and Niners have worse luck with injuries next year. John Davis, a fucking man. A fucking man. My second favorite team's the Raiders, but I'm betting the Broncos to win the AFC. This is what I'm talking about. Second bird team, instead of Falcons, we get sea chickens. Fuck Seattle. Fuck Seattle. We're going to go into Seattle. We're going to show them who fucking runs that fucking city. Sam Darnold is garbage. Sam Darnold is garbage. This is something out of a dream. If they beat the Bears, who the public overwhelmingly is backing to win the game, and they beat the number 1 seed Seahawks, and you get the Rams, this could be the greatest Packers Super Bowl championship run ever. If the Broncos are in the Super Bowl, oh my God, the Packers are a big underdog entering that game. This would be insane. It's roughly even if they play Rodgers, and the Steelers have zero chance of making the Super Bowl. This team is garbage. They have no chance of making the Super Bowl. Steelers organization does not care about championships. All they care about is the status quo. Be good enough to make the playoffs. Mike Tomlin got us in the playoffs. If you're in the dance, you have a chance to win the Super Bowl. Anybody has a chance to win the Super Bowl. Okay, he's back. Who cares? Who cares? Okay, they are a joke. They are a joke. Instead of 6-7, we got 2-7 after every touchdown. 2-7. 2nd and 7. 2-7. 2-7. 2-7. 2-7. Start low, you go high. 2-7. 6-7. School 6-7. School 6-7. 2-7. 2-7. 6-7. 6-7. 6-7. 6-7. 6-7. 6-7. That's why it's so fun to say, y'all. That's why they say it's so fun to say, everybody understand? 2-7. You go from 2 to 7. 2 to 7. 2-7. Amen. Let's go. 2-7. 2-7. 2-7. 2-7. 2-7. He's from California, this and that. Hey, Jordan Love is from Bakersfield, California. What y'all been doing about that now? Bakersfield, California. Now, who we talking now, people? Who we talking now? He's from California. Who cares about Aaron Martin? He's from California, too. He's from California. Welcome to the community of King David of Solomon. He's in this now. He's in this. Just like the Red World Cup and Lionel Messi 165 days up the day after the World Cup final. I'm not ruling out the Patriots to win the AFC. They could still make it to the Super Bowl. Good night. Good night, sir. Good night, good sir. See you tomorrow. Sleep well. Tumultuous day tomorrow. Oh, my God. Jordan Love said convert a 4th down and win the game-winning drive. Oh, my God. This is insane. This is batshit crazy insane. This is wild. Hey, you know what? I don't know what the hell you're talking about when you say 6-7. I'm just gonna say 2-7. You're gonna look at me like, what the fuck? That's right. That's right, yo, Jim. See, that's right. You ain't knowing nothing about what 2-7 is about. But for 2-7, it means two things. It means the 27, and it means the Knicks for the 2-7 the finals when my goat in the prime time went back-to-back championship and he beat the New York Knicks. Not this upcoming finals, but next year's NBA finals. 2-7, motherfucker. Here we go. 2-7. 2-7. 2-7. 2-7. We don't follow the sheep. We stick with 2-7. We ain't following no sheep out there. 2-7. 2-7. They know in between. This is the biggest, ballsiest risk ever, and you just trust what they trying to mock in plain sight, or it is the most genius of all mocking in plain sight ever in the history of the world. There's no in between. There's no in between. There's no in between. The Packers were a 6th seed in 2010. They were a 6th seed back then. They had, I think, 16 players on injured reserve. 16 players. Nobody was predicting the Packers. I have to go back to 2010 to see the pre-playoff predictions, but I imagine they were not on the side of the Green Bay Packers, and it seems like there's a lot of similarities to this playoff run and the playoff run all the way back in 2010, 2011. But Brett Favre's final season was the year of Super Bowl 45. This is Aaron Rodgers' final season. We have a little difference. Brett Favre was terrible. He missed the playoffs that year. Aaron Rodgers, he in the playoffs. He's still in the technically in the running to win the Super Bowl. Technically in the running to win the Super Bowl. But it doesn't matter if every detail ends up being exact. Doesn't always happen that way. But it was both years. It is their final season. What was the third year connection here with the Packers? Let me go to the article. Oh, okay. All three of them 1 year. All three of them won the Super Bowls as their third year as the Packers starters. They've won 5 games this year, scoring exactly 27 points. If the Steelers made their 2-point conversion against the Packers, they would have finished the game with 27 points. This is wild. This is wild. By random probability, what are the odds of that happening? 0.0000000000001 by random probability of that happening with a score in 5 games of 27 points. It's not a coincidence. They are definitely trying to tell us something. King David, I think that is irrelevant for now. I think until the Packers are out, that I can reveal number 2. And I said until the Packers are out because I'm going to jinx it. I'm going to jinx it. Until the Packers are out. Oh, what do you mean until the Packers are out? Well, Packers-Bears. Everybody is picking the Bears. The pundits are picking the Bears. We need drama. If Rams beat the crap out of the Panthers, we need some early drama. This is fucking wild card week. Oh boy. Oh boy. I'd be fucking blazed tomorrow. Holy hell. Good night. Good night, Jimbo. This last shot is for you. Good night. Best of luck tomorrow. Go, Pack, go. Go, Pack, go. I love cheese because I'm Italian, right? Go, Pack, go. I love cheese too. I could probably find better cheese in Italian than in Wisconsin. No disrespect. But Vince Lombardi heavily discriminated because of his Italian roots. The Packers gave him a chance to be coached. The rest is history. In the Packers, one of the first teams who started to play predominantly black players. So the Packers have their right place in fostering greatness across the NFL, giving everybody an opportunity from blacks to Italians. And that's why I like the Raiders because of their, Al Davis wouldn't play in segregated, racist Southern areas, and then they hire a Latino coach, So I like the Raiders a lot for that. I like the Packers a lot for that. I think both deserve their proper respect for fostering the game to all individuals. All individuals. All individuals. This, for me, is too much. Jordan Love's 10th win on the 10th day, and on 1-10, Packers on their 10th win against the Bears, playoffs and regular season included. This is wild. Now, on the day that the Broncos played the Packers, okay, you can definitely say I was melting down. But my football knowledge has prevailed. Their performance against the Bears showed me that they, in fact, were the number 6 defense without Micah Parsons. They, in fact, are able to win without Micah Parsons. They have demonstrated that ability. As far as all sack leaders in the NFL, situational pass rushers, they come in, they're not playing every down, but they come in for pass rushing situations. As far as a playoff matchup goes, I mean, how many sack leaders are in the NFC side that could give the Packers problems without Micah Parsons? Just knowledge discovery. These kind of questions. How good truly is the Bears defense? They give up a lot of yards, but they also force a lot of turnovers. But then the Packers don't force a lot of turnovers. There's a lot to work with there. They control the clock a lot against the Bears because the Bears give up lots of yards. Obviously, the Myles Garrett, but this is why the Giants can make the playoffs next year. This guy, Brian Burns, with 16 and a half sacks, how many people know who he is? Brian Burns? I'm telling you, Giants blew a lot of fourth quarter leads this year. The Giants are going to make the playoffs next year. And see, I think there'll only be one NFC West team that makes the playoffs next year because they're playing the AFC West and they're playing the NFC East. The NFC East is going to be a lot better because the Washington team is not injured and the Giants team is getting a lot better. And if Cam Scottaboo can play for a whole season and you have a Giants defense that locks opponents up in the fourth quarter, it's the first 3 quarters. This is what will make the Giants a playoff team next year. But the Packers are the 7th seed. Micah Parsons is 7th in the league. Was I watching different games? I mean, Josh Sweat, it seems like wasn't consistent with the pass rush, but he still managed to be number 8 in sacks. But NFL hates the Cardinals, and fans hate the Cardinals. He should have been the Pro Bowl, but he's number 8 in sacks. He's not even All-Pro. How does that happen? Josh Sweat should be All-Pro. He should be in the Pro Bowl. Nick Bonito. Tuli Tabloto of the Chargers. I should look into Mr. Nick Bonito. He is number 15. If he's playing the Packers, it'd be 15 years since the Packers' last title. So that's what stands out with this number 15. I will be sure to keep a keen eye on Mr. Nick Bonito. He is number 5 in sacks. This is Packers' 5th title. Will Anderson is definitely going to get a sack against Aaron Rodgers. Byron Young of the Rams. Eagles, this is why the Eagles could be a better matchup. Eagles don't have anybody with double-digit sacks. Oh, look, Montez Sweat has 10 sacks, but Rashawn Gary has 7.5 sacks. The Seahawks are overrated. Overrated. Leonard Williams, this guy played for the Rams. He's old and washed up. He's 31. He's washed up. He's a joke. He's washed up. That TJ Watt, he nothing. He's not Walt Anderson. He has 12 sacks. That's just a nobody team. They win 7-8 games every year. There's a nobody team. $23 tackles for loss. Myles Garrett, 33. Cleveland is 23. Tuli Tiploto, kid from USC. Okay. He is the star on the Charger defense I should be more aware of. Like, I know the Charger defense is good, the overall unit, but the actual individual names, that's a whole other thing. Like this Brian Burns guy, for example. Saquon got hit with the Madden curse, says King David. Who knows if the Rams have a chance next round, but 49ers have no chance of winning this round right here. Now, the 49er fans who thought they were going to cakewalk their way to the Super Bowl, these are bandwagon football fans. They are fair weather football fans. They deserve everything that's coming their way. How faithful was the faithful from 2014 to 2016 or 2017? Hardly showed up to the games. The 49er fan base is not a real fan base like, let's say, Pittsburgh, or let's say Chicago or Green Bay or Detroit. They'll show up every single week. This 49er fan base only shows up when their team wins, especially these diehard fans who will watch their team through cold weather. I should include Minnesota too. 49er fan base is not a hardcore NFL fan base. They're a fair weather fan base. They will only show up and talk shit and come out of their closet when their team is Super Bowl contenders. Now, this is a fake fan base because I've seen it myself. They came out of the closet 8 years without the playoffs. They came out of nowhere, out of their closet in 2011 and started being complete dicks and complete assholes. And some of their fans were like gangbanger fans, like they were gangster fans. Northern Cal gangster fans. Wonder why there's fan violence between the 49ers and the Raiders? Because of these gang alliances to Northern Cal, the Bay, Southern Cal, Raiders, all this. This where it comes from. And now let me just say this. Like, I am gonna it's a good buzz for the big matchups, you know. Like a Champions League knockout doesn't even begin until March, I think. Anyway, I don't need a drink for any day in February. Who gives a fuck about how the Lakers do in February? Because quite frankly, it is about the playoff. February, it's no drinking day except for the Super Bowl. That is it. That is it, mate. That is it. Last 6 days of January, completely dry. But playoffs, here we go. This is war. This is war. This is war. I'm surprised some people are laying the Super Bowl future on the Packers. I did NFC for the Packers. Maybe I'll put one final bet and just put Packers in Super Bowl in my goal for the championship and must-see for the World Cup. And who the hell knows if it Who knows if it does? But Packers NFC and Broncos AFC, we'll see if that rides or not. We'll find out. We'll find out. There's no Premier League. Napoli and Inter, for me, this is a perfect week. If Napoli beat Inter and they're back in the Scudetto race, and the majority of these playoff games are wins, you're not asking for all 6 games to hit. Let's be reasonable. We know how very hard it is to hit a 6-leg wild card playoff parlay. I mean, you think the NFL is going to set up Allen against the Patriots, but what if it happens differently? You think Rodgers is scripted to play in his hometown, but what if the NFL says the Steelers are garbage and we're going to have the Houston defense against the Denver defense? It's what I'm talking about. It can go either way. It can go either way if you're being honest and objective and neutral about this. It can go either way, but the only voice that holds the final say in the outcome is the league office itself. If the head of the player personnel of the Packers joins the Dolphins, this will not impact the Packer defensive performance in the playoffs. If the head of the Packer player personnel is going to leave and join the Dolphins and be the general manager, the Packer defensive coordinator can be there until the Super Bowl. The Miami Dolphins have their coach waiting after February the 8th. It is the defensive coordinator of the Green Bay Packers. No soccer fans in the chat. Nobody added anything for my assessments on the national championship. I correctly predicted both semifinal games, and now I believe the script is heading the way for Indiana. And this is where Las Vegas has made the Indiana Hoosiers 6.5-point favorites. Miami sucks. Miami's going to lose because it doesn't take a rocket scientist. Entering today, it didn't take a rocket scientist to predict Indiana to beat Oregon when Dante Moore was unimpressive against Texas Tech, and Indiana demolished Alabama. You think about the roots of Nick Saban from West Virginia. You think about Signetti's a West Virginia guy. He coached under Nick Saban. He has the same mentality as Nick Saban. Crystal Ball has been known for goofy clock management. If he was any good as a coach, Miami would have found a way to be in that conference championship game. You keep thinking Miami, home game, Miami. It don't matter. You forget, or you didn't even bother to look at Fernando Mendoza. He went to high school at Miami at Christopher Columbus Preparatory School. This is Fernando Mendoza. All the Latinos in Miami can get behind a Latino quarterback. Fernando Mendoza. All you Mexicans can stop hating on the Cubans because Fernando Mendoza is a Cuban, and a Cuban can make the Raiders great again. It doesn't matter if it's Mexico and Tom Flores and Jim Plunkett. It don't matter if it's Cuba and Fernando Mendoza. Get over the bullshit. The white Anglo-Saxon America thinks you're subhuman and no different than white America. You have to realize that the Mexicans and the Cubans, you guys are friends against Trump. You're not enemies. You're friends against Trump because Trump and his Gestapo gang are going to profile the Mexicans, and the Cubans are going to want to deport them all. Now, the Cubans are racist and they're more white. And because they're more white than the Mexicans, they are racist against the Mexicans. But you have to understand that in Trump's world, he looks like you all the same. De-Spanifying America. De-Spanify America. From the Latino Spanish-speaking language. It doesn't matter if you're white complexion or if you're mestizo complexion. In Trump's world, you're all the same. And he thinks we need to Anglify America. So we need to stop the hate against Mendoza. If there's any hate against Mendoza, hopefully it is about football and not about, tribal. Because Latino, Hispanic, Latino American nations will hate against each other because, racism is everywhere. There's racism in Northern Europe against South America, South Europe against North Europe. There's racism against African groups in Africa. There's racism against Sunnis, against Shias in the Middle East. So racism is everywhere based on regional differences. And that certainly exists in America. It's all about, and you have to think about the fact that it is about, the Raiders have signified Latin American opportunity and a real commitment to excellence. And so Fernando Mendoza, the Cuban, is the Raiders' next quarterback. Miami Dolphins are a joke. I think Mendoza, the Cuban American community in Florida, could be big Raider fans. I'm a real Raider fan, so I have high hopes of my team that, a skinny, kind-hearted white kid is a quarterback of Indiana in a Big Ten school. Tom Brady was quarterback in the Big Ten school. The Irish people were dealt with a lot of prejudice. It's not like Tom Brady's a German or anything. He's Irish Catholic. Tom Brady. Yeah, at least on his dad's side. And so there's a lot of racism and prejudice against these marginalized people. Irish people are marginalized people because they were looked at as less white, and Tom Brady has got the Irish ancestry, and playing from Massachusetts and Boston, the Irish people, over there. So has its way of working around, Hopefully the greatest quarterback ever in the NFL is an Italian, Joe Montana. Fuzan Montana. The Italians were hated. They've dealt with the extreme racism and prejudice. I see the history of the marginalized people of America, and at one point, my people were marginalized people in America. So it's rightful for me to not be a hateful, deluded right-winger. Many people in my family hated deluded right-wingers, and they don't learn the history of their own people, what they dealt with, and they realize we shouldn't repeat this history for any of the other people coming to America. This is where we are. I've heard Fernando Mendoza speak English for the first time today, and it seems like he's a normal American kid, and that's where we are going to leave it. Fernando Mendoza is a tremendous young man. The douchebag from Vanderbilt, he is a mug. Fernando Mendoza has proven that he is the Heisman winner by a long shot. There is no competition for the Heisman. Douchey Pavia, small dick syndrome. Mate. Small dick syndrome. If you're a real hardcore baller, I wouldn't give 2 fucks about the Heisman. I would come in, grab the NFL by the balls, and win the fucking Super Bowl. This is how you know this Diego Pavia is a clown and a joke. Did Tom Brady win Heisman? Did Drew Brees win Heisman? Did Aaron Rodgers win Heisman? Have they won Heisman? What difference does winning the Heisman make? That's what I like to know. In the overall grand scheme of things, maximize your earnings, be an all-pro quarterback. Winning the Heisman does little to increase your chances. Now, as I say that, this could be the worst thing for every Raiders fan to hear. This is an extremely competitive division. Kansas City Chiefs, looking at it from an objective lens point of view, are going to be back. Because Patrick Mahomes is certainly not a scrub. And there's a lot of competition in the AFC. And it makes it easier for Fernando Mendoza if he were drafted by the Saints, for example, instead of, in the AFC West. Some people define success differently. Success can be defined by the Super Bowl and all-pro monikers. Success could be defined by simply, making millions and making the NFL, and it doesn't work out, but that itself is a success story. There are 2 people and 7 likes. 2-7, 2-7, 2-7. I'll upload 2-7. One 7, get the fuck out of here. Fuck the guy who just left. Packers over Patriots, 2-7 seed. Never say never. For me, I think it makes Tom Brady look better if Drake May fails to even make it to a Super Bowl. That is just me. Winning the AFC all of these years, for me, it makes the accomplishment of Tom Brady making it to 7 Super Bowls look like it's very odd if Drake May fails to make it the first year. Now, when I think about Sean Payton, they're never going to give this guy a Super Bowl because of the whole bounty gate thing. It doesn't mean they'll have him. I think it doesn't rule him out from not appearing in the Super Bowl. I think they could have this guy in the Super Bowl and then have him lose. You know what I mean? Kyle Shao 56, thumbs up. They are 6.5-point favorites. Miami are fought. Uh, it is Indiana's year, and as a Notre Dame fan, I thought I would have been very bitter if I saw Indiana won the title as the team from the state of Indiana to win first before Notre Dame. But the big caveat is because it is against Miami that we will enjoy seeing the Hoosiers win the title because it prevents the big mouth loser, disgusting, arrogant, irrelevant, know nothing Miami from winning the national title. So thank goodness for that. Miami is a much larger payout than Indiana. So fuck Miami. Fuck Miami fans. Fuck the guy who had Notre Dame living rent free in his head after a win in the playoff over Texas A&M. You sorry ass motherfucker. Ohio State didn't give a fuck about it because the college football is rigged about the storylines. But very little do you know, you're not the main storyline. Nick Saban disciple and Fernando Mendoza, Christopher Columbus prep in Miami are the key storylines. So as a Notre Dame fan, I can't wait to watch you cry and suffer. Because karma's a motherfucking bitch. God is fucking real. If I thought I would have been bitter if Indiana were the team in Indiana that won a title before Notre Dame, but the key caveat is they prevent Miami from winning. Yes, 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 yes. You can fuck off, you little pricks. We don't win a national title before you motherfuckers do. Our players were motivated after Brian Kelly spurned us for LSU. We made it to the national championship. And we got, very little do they know, this brings the best out of Notre Dame. Brian Kelly thought we weren't good enough. We were good enough to compete for a national championship against Ohio State. College Football Committee leaves the team out with a 10-game winning streak. Count Notre Dame against count Notre Dame out. I swear. We know how to garner a reaction. Miami's going to lose out in the ACC again next year after their little sorry asses get cream rolled by Indiana in the biggest muffle boss of college football, Mr. Stoneface Kurt Signetti. This is a... Do I want a military general who celebrates every battle win like, no, because the checkers game, it's not about checkers, it's about the chess. Winning the overall war. Kurt Signetti is a real disciple of Nick Saban. This was not even a competitive game. They were cream rolled from the first 7-10 seconds of the game. Mario Cristobal is known for skullfuckery moments and his diluted clock management. Fuck you guys. Indiana has the Heisman. They have the best head coach in college football. Imagine thinking anybody else was going to win. Blood. You understand? You understand, blood? You understand? Come on, fam. Come on, fam. We are roughly even on who's the best playoff matchup for the Packers down the line. Career low, 6 interceptions. The Packers were a 6th seed when they won the Super Bowl. Some believe Rob's progress today distracts some way to Rodgers' pre-Super Bowl. He struggled in the first half of 2023. His first year as a starter, he got high through 18 touchdowns and 1 interception. Over the final 8 games, and the Packers went from 3-6 to 9-8 into the playoffs, where they rolled McCarthy's Cowboys in the wild card. McCarthy has been living in Green Bay since his tenure as a Cowboy coach. He not only spent the year studying NFL games, he attended several Packer games. He had a huge game against us, a statement game, some mistakes, interception after that, but the coach, to really judge him by with all these quarterbacks, confidence level. You see a much more confident quarterback. Got to see him play live 4 times this year. I like him. I think there's definitely more there. Love wins us somewhat the Bay Area, known for the love for all people, heterosexual, homosexual. That is the key to victory.